Hello, this is Matthew Chan.
And I'm Wes Weaver.
We welcome you to our first episode of the TurnKey Investors TV show. And we're really excited about producing this video for you. We've never done anything like this before, and this is a bit of an adventure, an experiment for the both of us. So allow me the opportunity to just kind of set this up, okay? And the purpose of the show is that we want all of you to get to know us a little bit better. And over time, we hope that you'll write in and communicate with us so we get to know you better. Now, one of the things that we're also passionate about is we like to teach. And we've taught along the way, workshops, and we've written books, and we've done audio recordings. And having this TV show allows us to reach you in a way that we would not be able to otherwise. We want to have a little bit of fun, and we're also businessmen, so we're very practical. And we have no idea where this video is going to end up and who's going to view it, but we'll see where it goes. So anyway, and with the whole thing about Facebook and Twitter and social media as a whole, this really is, having a video really is conducive to what we're trying to do in communicating. So we really think that having this show, this experimental show, will help us do things we could never have done 5 years back. So I hope you enjoy this. So Wes, what do you think now we're doing this show? I mean, what is it that we're going to accomplish here?
Well, I think like you talked about, I mean, with all the programs out there, with the social media, I mean, we've taught people before, we've taught investors roundtables and things like that before, but with these videos and with these channels, I mean, we can really reach, anybody who's willing to tune in and listen. So we're really able to just kind of stretch our arms out and reach more of a broader audience and more or less have a larger engagement and interactive with different people. Right.
Well, and also to let you audience members know that there are quite a few topics that have been bubbling up for Wes and I over the years. Now, for those of you who don't know us, the last time that Wes and I have done any kind of video together and even talking about the subject of the real estate in a public forum has been 4 years ago. And this was shortly before the recession began. Yeah. So obviously you and I were very busy working during the recession. So it was very distracting, but fortunately we're starting to come out of it and we can get back to having a little bit of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, through times, even though I haven't been on camera since 2007, in a lot of sense, a lot of things change, and in a lot of sense, Absolutely. A lot of things kind of stay the same. I mean, during tough times, sometimes that's when you stay the course and you don't change in some sense, and you also have to have the mindset of, okay, well, I'm in a different environment, I'm in a different market now, I have to change somewhat. So some things have changed, but also a good strategy is also stay in the course. So
exactly.
We'll cover that.
All right. So anyway, there's no time like the present, and we're going to go ahead and move the show forward. And the first topic we're going to talk about is actually my business partner, Wes Weaver, here. And the reason why I feel that it's important that we talk about Wes is because obviously it's been easily 4 years since he was in a public forum. And for those of you who are new to us, there has been a lot of developments, and he has a very interesting career. In fact, his career is going to be a subject of discussion as we move forward in the next segments and on future episodes. So anyway, Wes, I was thinking back before we were preparing for the show, that it has been 10 years since you and I first met. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah, that's really amazing that, it's been that long.
And you know why I know? It's because I moved from Atlanta at the end of 2000, and I spent the latter part just getting myself established. I didn't really reach out until the turn of the year in 2001, and that's when I put the ad out. Now, I don't exactly know in 2001, but I remember it being early in the year. Well, we're in March as we do the recording, so I just thought I'd let you know. It's been 10 years, man.
Yeah, I guess that's
since you and I met.
Yeah, I guess 10 years can be it can be a blip on the radar screen when you look at a career, when you look at a lifespan in some sense. But then when you're in real estate, when you're looking at 30-year mortgage or things like that. Sometimes, I mean, 10 years can be definitely a good milestone. I mean, because in some sense you can say, well, I'm a third of the way through some definite pain and suffering. So 10 years is an interesting mark, for sure.
So in the 10 years, I mean, I just kind of want people to kind of understand what happened with you, because what were you doing before you met me? I think you were in college, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in college and I was working in corporate America. I had a job in sales when I was going through school, trying to finish school. And then when I met Matt, I kind of started, my eyes were kind of open to the world of entrepreneurship, and obviously real estate was the main key behind that.
Yeah, but don't go too fast now. You're moving too fast here now. Now, you responded to this ad. I want people to get the visual of what was going on back then, okay? You can't be glossing over this. You responded to an ad, okay? I want you to tell people about the ad.
For no particular reason, I was flipping through the newspaper. I wasn't a real estate guy. If I was probably looking for anything, it was probably for cars, or I love Craigslist and I love buying and selling stuff. So I was probably just looking through the newspaper, and I saw an ad that said, local real estate club forming, and for whatever reason, I had no interest in real estate. I don't even know why I called you, to be honest with you.
It was a blind ad.
It was just a blind ad, so I called you up and I said, hey, I'm calling about this real estate ad, and you said you told me about the meeting times. They were meeting at the public library, I think, at the time. And
well, we definitely had some challenges of meeting. I think we remember meeting at the college, CSU.
Okay, yeah.
Library was one of them, but I remember us, having a location was a little bit difficult.
Right.
But what I do remember is that you would show up with everybody and you wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
You were dead quiet.
Yeah.
And so I just want all of you the audience members to understand, here it is, Wes, in front of a camera talking to the world. Well, when I first met him, he wouldn't say a peep when he came to the meetings.
Well,
he didn't have anything to ask. He didn't ask anything. I said, well, what is it that you want to do here?
Well, I guess I always remember growing up, my mom always told me, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. So, if I'm in an environment to where I'm supposed to be learning something, then typically my mouth is shut and my ears are open, and I'm trying to take in, what I'm hearing, what I'm listening to. Is it legit? Does it work? Is this guy real? I mean, what's going on? So I would just kind of sit back. I would show up and, take in the information and try to swallow it and say, is this something that I'm interested in? Is this something that I'm willing to, invest my time in? I'm going to college. I have all intentions of finishing college and going the corporate route, and yet here I am hearing, this maybe another option that I didn't know was available. So really at the time, I was just kind of open, you could say, and I was young, of course. So when you're younger, I didn't have a lot of built up, preconceived notions about, not working in a corporate job. I was just kind of open to it. So I was just kind of a sponge, just taking it in.
Now, for those of you listening, I mean, you should realize that back in 2001, I had only done like a very handful of deals. I was brand new to Columbus. So I really didn't even know the city where I moved to. So here I am trying to set up this real estate investors club, and I've got a whole bunch of handful of people trying to listen to me. So, which was a very interesting experience. But, fortunately, I did have enough experience to at least move it forward. But so that's how it all began. You were this quiet individual. So eventually, it led you to doing your first deal in real estate in Columbus. Is that what you're asking? Right, in 2002.
Yeah, in January 2002. I fumbled around, found a real estate agent. I bought it was a foreclosed home, and that had no kitchen floor. I mean, I could, the property was just in shambles, and I took it down. I bought it. I kind of, through Matt, showed me how to run some numbers, run some comps, and the rents and things like that. So I took it down. I brought my parents over there. My parents didn't see it until after I bought it. And I said, "Hey, Mom, Dad, come over and check out this house." I just bought it. I was 24, I think, at the time, and so they came over and they walked in the house. Oh, and it smelled horrendous, as you can imagine. They walked in and they were just like silent. They didn't say a word, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, Wes, what have you gotten into?"
Yeah, who talked you into doing this?
And really, that's one of my better deals of today. Even out of all the deals we've done, that's still one of my favorite houses. Maybe it's just because my first one. Maybe I'm kind of partial to it, but it's a great house. It turned out to be a great deal.
Well, I will share with all of you listening is that I am part of that deal.
Yeah.
It was kind of a condition of the partnership.
Yeah.
Because at the time, I think I remember telling you, I said, look, if I gotta have a partner, I can't just have someone that's just going to talk about it. I mean, because everybody says, "Oh, I'll do it." I said, "I'm going to have to get some commitment. I got to figure out some way,
Right.
you know, if this guy's for real before I put in a lot of resources." I said, "Well, you're going to have to let me buy into this good deal."
Yeah. And, you know, so here I was, just took down my first deal. Then here Matt is wanting a piece of the deal for us to kind of be partners and work together. So, you know, there was a lot of stuff going on. And you know.
But I did cave in. I mean, all I was looking for was whether or not he was willing to do it. So it wasn't a 50-50 deal. I mean, he really still has final say and everything. You know, we have a kind of 60-40 stacked in his favor.
Yeah.
I kind of backed off on it. So I was like, okay, that's good enough. I mean, I don't want to make it so hard on the guy in his first deal.
Yeah, but I mean, at the time, I mean, I was thinking, and I still do. I mean, I was thinking of abundance, and part. I mean, the more you'll learn me, the more I still believe that you just. You know, not to be greedy, you know, you kind of look at the world in abundance. And that's kind of how I was. I mean, it was a house. Yeah, it was my first house. I had just bought it. But I knew for a fact it wasn't going to be my only house. And it's just sticks and bricks. And so if you know, that house kind of led to a partnership that brought to greater things, I mean, it was a no-brainer for me. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's really good. Yeah. So you did your first deal in 2002. And along the way, I had encouraged you to, you know, get your license. So what was that journey like to get your real estate license? You kind of had some false starts, did you not?
Yeah, I did. I mean, when I first bought my first house, I used a real estate agent, and I knew I was going to go buy more deals. Yeah. You know, Matt had mentioned, you know, getting my real estate license.
Might as well, since you were going to buy more. You might as well keep the commission, right?
Yes, and I was kind of against it. I guess more or less an identity type thing. I didn't want to be viewed as a real estate agent. You know, I wanted to be viewed as an investor, and that's what I did, and that's what I was good at, not an agent. You know, and so I kind of fought that for a while. And I even remember, you know, I walked into this real estate office with these two guys who were agents. And I don't even remember saying this until one of the partners had told me later on, but I walked in, he said, this is what I said. He said, I walked in, I met him, I said, hi, my name is Wes Weaver, I'm a real estate investor. I want to buy 100 houses. I want to know if you're interested in being my agent.
Did you actually say it?
I did say it.
Oh my God. See, I never knew he said something like that.
And then
he must have just looked at you real freaking funny.
Well, these were two guys. They were partners. They were agents. And after I left, I guess this is years later after I had, you know, obviously had a successful career in buying. And I led these guys to they collected probably 20 maybe commission checks off of me before I did get my agent's license.
Oh, and when you did the math, that had to have killed you a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, but there again, I looked at, you know, hey, you know, you live with your decisions. But later, one of the partners came back to me and said, you know, Wes, when you came in our office and you told us you wanted to buy 100 houses, he said, when you left, I told my partner, don't waste your time with that guy. He said, don't waste your time with that guy. And I guess that was just kind of his way of kind of giving me a little pat on the back saying, you know, I didn't believe in you. I told my partner, don't waste your time with this guy. And yet, you know, we did close about, you know, 20 houses with you or so. So,
you know, the thing about it is, I have to give you credit. I mean, for you to, you know, I'm a little bit hesitant to be saying stuff like that. I may think about it.
I don't even remember saying it, but evidently I did because he said I said it.
Oh my God, you got some courage.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about buying 100 houses too, but I wouldn't voice that out too much.
Well, I don't know. I guess I was thinking, okay, well, I'm young. All right, I had like one deal. I guess I was thinking I'm going to have to sell myself to these guys for them to back me and let's go hunt for some houses and things like that. So I don't know. I guess in my mind I was trying to sell myself, and I'm sure it sounded crazy, but.
Well, the good news is you did finally get your license in late 2004.
I did. Yeah, finally I did get my license. I just said, look, you know, because even with these agents I was doing, I was finding the deals. I was running my own, you know, comps. Basically, they were writing the contract, showing up at closing, and walking away with a commission check. And I said, you know, okay, well, shoot, you know, I'm not a dumb guy. I can pass the real estate exam. So I signed up for the course, you know, passed the test, got my exam, parked it with a broker. And, you know, from there on out, I was just writing my own contracts and, you know, doing my own, not doing my own closings, but, you know, going to my own closings and collecting my own real estate commission checks. Yeah.
Well, you know, the thing about it is, I mean, with them accommodating you, they were basically order takers, you know, and I know real estate agents hate that word, but I mean, in your case, I mean, you had done all the work.
Yeah.
All they had to do was just write the contract, and they just had to show up to pick up the check. I mean, they couldn't have an easier client than you did.
No, I mean, I was getting, you know, lists of houses. I would drive by, I would weed it all out for them, and I would say, hey, you know, you gave me 50. These are the 5 I want to go into, and boom, you know, I would end up buying 1 or 2 here or there, and that was it.
Well, I just thought that, you know, given that we were coming from different ends of it, I felt that the license would be helpful to you, and it was also helpful to the partnership if one of us was at least licensed.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that happened. So obviously you have no regrets.
No.
You've been an agent. Let's see, that's what, easy 7 years now.
Right.
So anyway, that was also the same year that I had launched the Turnkey Investors series of books, and you had helped me, read through it, make sure that what I was writing was accurately portraying what we did. Mm-hmm. So Wes had, I think I kind of dragged him, encouraged him into the publishing business.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that, what made you decide to get the brokerage license? That kind of surprised me a little bit.
Well, I guess it was a couple things. I mean, for me...
Pleasantly, I should add. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess for me, I'm kind of always looking for what's one step better than what I'm doing now, or what's maybe just one thing better that I can tweak, do here or there. And for me, obviously, after you're an agent, you have to be an agent for 3 years, and if you want to, you can be a broker. And all a broker means is that if you wanted to, you can open up your own firm, you can hire agents or whatnot. You don't have to be under another broker. And so for me, it was a couple of things. One, I just kind of wanted the affiliation, and two, I wanted the freedom of, if I wanted to, whether I just wanted to be a one-man show on my own and not have to split my commissions, that would be an option. And just to kind of basically, it's kind of like investing while you have a job. It's kind of like, well,
you have more options.
You have more options.
Yeah,
right.
Having the options gives you a sense of peace, really, and power, really empowerment.
Yeah, whether you want to call it a backup plan or a plan B for later, and so for me, it was just kind of a natural feel of, okay, well, I have my agent's license, I kind of have that down pat. If I was dumb enough to pass a real estate exam, surely I can pass the broker exam too. So I did.
Well, you knocked it out. Now, at one point, you were licensed in like 3 states, weren't you?
At one time, I was licensed in Georgia, Alabama, and Florida.
Yeah, and right now, you are what, 2 states or?
Yeah, right now it's just Georgia and Alabama. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You decided to stay out of Florida.
Yeah, the Florida thing. It was back when the Florida boom was happening. I had some friends who were flipping condos, at the beach, and and we're talking about. Obviously the commissions are huge compared to what we're used to here. So I got my Florida, license, and was going to try to represent them in a few deals, and obviously, by that time, everything just kind of fell apart in Florida, and so I just let that go.
It fell apart. That's an understatement. It blew up.
Yeah, it exploded.
It exploded over there. So which brings us fairly current to today. I will say that Wes is my advisor. It's kind of funny. It's no secret that Wes was very young when we met, but over time I knew that he was eventually going to grow, and it's pretty much flipped the other way around. I come to him for the most part for advice. He knows more about what's going on than I do. So I now have to ask him for most decisions I make, especially the properties we have together, because I'm not sure. I feel that he has a better pulse on things. But the thing I want to say is that you're also an advisor to a lot of different people that we know. Mm-hmm. And, people, I think that some people kind of take you for granted. But anyway, what are your thoughts about advising so many people in the community?
Well, for better or for worse, when you throw yourself, headfirst into something, you're going to become a pro at it, and you're going to be very good at it. And for better or for worse, real estate and property management has been a place that I've, staken my claim. And so for other people who are maybe not so involved as I am, they come to me, or they'll call me. And I don't really fault them for it. I'm sure their expertise is they're an expertise in whatever field they work in. So if I needed something, I would go to them. But yeah, for better or for worse, when it comes to real estate, or when it comes to particularly property management, that's something that I just said I want to be the best at it. And if people need me, I help them out, and for sure, I definitely have some friends and some colleagues who, I share things with, and at the same time, there have been other places where I've just said, I can't invest my time and energy, in that, because it's just, it's not,
too much.
It's too much, yeah.
Yeah, you have to draw some boundaries sometimes.
Absolutely.
You can't be all things to all people.
No.
We have a finite amount of time and energy.
Right.
So what do you consider, aside from the property management, what other things do you consider yourself a specialty at nowadays? You like the Section 8 thing?
I do, yeah. For better or for worse, I'm kind of a small government type guy, if I could make a little political affiliation, but at the same time, Section 8, the HAP program, or whatever they call it maybe in your city, I was kind of late to jump on that and use that, but it's been, right now it's the largest part of my business right now. Yeah.
Well, I think you and I got into it because things were changing in the marketplace. I mean, we were known for a long time for owner financing, more specifically lease with options to buy. In fact, our website is ownerfinancehomes.com, and that's what people know us for. But market changes forced us to, step beyond what we were doing that worked, because what we were doing, quite frankly, wasn't working anymore.
Right. Yeah. At one point, we were selling lease options, and we were we were getting down payments, and as the economy kind of
it was getting really
turned
bad.
for the worse, we had
to explore other options. But that's going to be a subject on another episode. So stay tuned. Wes and I will have an episode dedicated to Section 8, and we'll give you our thoughts on the subject matter. But moving on. The one thing I'd like, you don't ever talk about it very much, so I'm going to say it for you, is that I think you are an investor's agent. I mean, the thing about it is, would you agree, you're not the type that's going to, have someone come in your car and, truck around and do seeing 30 nice houses that you would move into.
Right.
That's not your thing.
No, not particularly. I mean, an investor agent really is someone who has the investor mindset first, and the agent part is just that they have the capability or the licensing to be able to represent you in the transaction. And honestly, I think I'm great at that, because the few investors that I do work with, I don't sell them a house that I wouldn't buy.
Well, that's exactly why I think you're an investor's agent, is because you can in good conscience just put them in a house just for the commission, because you know what's going to happen afterwards. You just have to face them, and there's just be a lot of distress afterwards.
Oh, absolutely. And I've got people who have who have bought multiple investment properties from me, and so they trust me to come back and say, okay, well, deal number 1 went good, let's get another one, or deal 1 through 5 went good, let's get another one. And if I if I don't really take care of them in deal number 1, even if I want any more commissions from them, they're not going to come back.
And I also think, now that we've talked about it, I think that's going to be a great topic for yet another episode about what you would do for people who are investors. What is it that you look for? And I would say that you and I are focused. We got to look at the numbers first. We can't be falling in love with the house.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Yes.
The broad stroke is the numbers need to kind of be in the ballpark before you even waste your time going to look at the house.
Right. Yeah, the majority of the majority of how I feed investors is mainly through email first. Email them listings, email them what they're looking for. They have to go look at it. I treat them the way I treated my agent before I was licensed. In other words, I make them do a good bit of the legwork, because honestly, I'm really not in it for the commission. I'm really not. I like to help people. I like to see people buy their first rental house or their first few rental houses and stuff. But they've got to take some initiative, because I know that if I were to say, hey, I'm not going to help you anymore, or hey, I'm not doing that anymore, I need them to be able to kind of stand on their own. So I email them stuff. They've got to do the legwork. They have to go drive by and look at it. If it's vacant, maybe they can even get inside, and then they kind of bring me back in once they've kind of filtered through a lot of it.
So you coach some of your clients, I guess, along the way.
Yeah. I coach them all the way through, and even beyond. Even after the closing, typically then they're like, okay, well, Wes, now I've got this thing. How do I rent it? How do I fill it?
This is what we call after the sales support. You're still working after the...
Right. And unfortunately, there is no pay for that. But yeah, I do. I say, hey, look, do you want to do Section 8? Here's the way you go. Do you want to do straight rental? This is where you need to advertise.
Yeah.
Because I can't just dump them at the closing table and say, good luck, have fun. Because most of them are my friends. I've sold them more than one house. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Well, as we wrap up this segment of our show, what I want to do is, Wes, in a few sentences, what do you represent? What's your philosophy as far as working with people and doing business?
Philosophy. That can be obviously a big word, but I would just say, in essence, I want to work with people who are like-minded to myself, and I feel that they can see beyond the first deal, and they can have a big picture of where they want to go. They can have some sense of direction, and I want to feel like by me working with them, I can get them to that next step. And I have to deal with people who are honest. They have to be dependable, and straight up. I mean, if I feel like that they're, just looking to be either a slumlord or they're looking maybe just to take advantage of some situation, that's just not who I generally like to work with.
Yeah, I'm in big agreement with you. Part of the reason why we do the video is that we attract those of what we put out.
Right.
So we're not going to be shy about sharing our opinions. Now, you don't have to agree with everything Wes and I are saying, but at least you know where we stand and how we operate, which is part of the purpose of the show. I mean, we want to entertain you, we want to educate you, but we truly, truly want to have you get to know us better.
Right.
So, Wes, I appreciate you sharing a little bit about your background in this segment. And stay tuned. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back and we'll jump into the next segment. Thank you.
Thank you.